Hey Art Stars, Mr. Brad here in the studio, and today we are going to draw Snoopy and Woodstock at Christmas. Hope you can see that pretty good. So if you want to draw along, grab a piece of paper and a pencil and let's go to the drawing board. Okay gang, let's jump right into drawing Snoopy at Christmas. We're going to start over kind of on the left hand side of your paper. And I'm just going to start with a very basic circle. Just like that. Hope you can see that okay. I always like to draw light and loose, but I'm going to draw a little darker just so you guys can see it. And this is really rough at this point, but it's going to give us a basis to start for Snoopy's head. Okay, so what we want to do, and we're going to start the back of his head. We're going to come down about halfway, and we're going to come out and down and around, and we're going to shape an ear in for Snoopy. Okay, can you guys see that okay? I hope you can. All right, it doesn't look much, right now, but as we go, we'll shape that in a little bit better. Now we're going to come right down to here where the ear touches the bottom of his head, and we're going to come over like this and just down slightly. Okay. All right, now we're going to come over from that a little bit to make his neck, and we're just going to kind of match that distance here. And we're going to stop right there. Now we're going to go back up to the top of the head. And we're going to curve it over a little bit. So see where we stop this neck? I'm just going to draw a line here. It's an imaginary line, but I mean, you can make it imaginary. You can draw it in if you want. But it's going to help us shape out his head a little bit better. So as I come around this curve here, and I get down to this line, that's where I'm going to start curving it back out for his, kind of his muzzle, okay? And I'm going to shape that around until I come back and down to here. Now that's not perfect. So that's the beauty of drawing loose and light. You can kind of shape that around a little bit better, so we get a better Snoopy shape of his head. And you can tweak all these lines if you want to. Matter of fact, I might even make his ear a little bit bigger when I look at that. And then as you go, you can erase if you want, but you don't have to yet because we're going to go over everything with ink at the end. But we're just trying to get basic shapes in here now, so we know that we have it right before we add the ink. You can make all the mistakes now, and that's the beauty of it. All right, let's give Snoopy a nose. So we're going to come right around this curve here, just about where it starts to come down. We're just going to give him a little bump for his nose. Something like that. And then all the way back here where the curve kind of comes down and starts this kind of like an oval shape here, right where it comes down, almost where that imaginary line is. We're going to come from there, and I'm going to go just a tad back and a little bit down. And I'm going to kind of shape in. I'll even scribble that in a little bit so you can see it for his eye. And then we're going to go straight up to the top of his head and back just a little. And we're going to give him a little curved shape like that for his eyebrow. Let me erase this so this is a little bit easier for you guys to see. Okay, that's very Snoopy-esque at the moment. Okay, let's come down right along the bottom of the curve here. Before you get back to your little line that matches the neck, we're going to come off here with a little jaggedy line like this. That's going to be his mouth because he's going to, he's concentrating on that little string of lights that he's got going there. And then we're going to make a little hill shape just like that, and that's going to be his tongue. Oh man, I love Snoopy, especially Snoopy at Christmas. How about you guys? All right, good. Now, let's come down and let's give him a collar. So just a little rectangle is the basic shape we're looking for here. We're going to sketch that in like that. Okay. And then we're going to come down right where this neckline is, and we're going to come down from that, and we're going to come down and out and around. Look at this. Because Snoopy's got that little tummy. So we're going to give him a little tummy. Maybe I'll make that a little shorter. Let me take that out so it doesn't distract you. Okay, this is what it is, guys. You're just working out the shapes right now to get something that you like. Okay, now let's go to the other side of his neck, and we're going to do the same thing. But this time when we come down, this part is going to be a little lower than this part. So you'll see what I mean here as I round this off. I'm going to make him a little chubbier. There we go. And by the way, guys, this is called a kneaded eraser. Kneaded. Not eraser like I needed it, although, well, it is sometimes. But kneaded means you can knead it like dough, and you can shape it into any shape you want, and erase little details and things like that. You can get them at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or any place that sells art supplies. Just a little tip for you. Okay, let's give Snoopy a tail. So right here where it starts curving down, we're going to come right about here, and we're just going to come up and then over and out, and the bottom of his tail kind of curves up and it comes back into here. Look at this. And I think he's got a little, might have a little part of his spot on there. And then on the back of him, right above it, right above his tail, we're going to give Snoopy his little spot that he has on the back. And that's going to be black later, so I'm just kind of shading that in so you can see it. This is going to be black. I'll shade that. His nose is going to be black. And some of his ear. So I'm just kind of scribbling that in so you get a better look of him. Okay, now we got that. Let's give Snoopy some feet. All right, so right as we come down off this back curve here, we're just going to come down a little bit and then straight down. And we're going to come over a little bit and make another line like that. All right, and then the back of his foot comes out and down like this. And then the top of his foot, I'm just going to kind of imagine that. There we go. And the top of his foot comes out, down like that. And Snoopy's got pretty big feet. Maybe not that big. There we go. And then it comes around and the two parts meet. Something like that. And then on his bottom to show his little toes, we're just going to round that off a little bit and then come up like that. And we're going to do that one more time for this toe. Okay, take that out. All right, and his other foot kind of matches it, but we want to make him look like you can see both feet. So I'm going to come over a little bit and put his other part of his leg in, but I'm not going to come all the way down to here. I'm going to stop about halfway. And then this foot is just going to come out a little bit farther ahead of the other one and then come in something like that. Okay, you don't see any toes behind that foot. All right, we got our rough shapes in there. Let's give Snoopy his arm, because he's, in our picture, he's holding that little Christmas bulb. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down from the collar, okay, about right here. I'll just make a little mark there. And the top of his arm is right here, and it comes down and out like that, over just a little bit, and then his thumb is kind of a half a circle like this. And it scoops up, comes back around, and then we have one finger, and then another finger, and they're spread apart a little bit because they're holding the bulb. Oops, like that. Okay, and his hand kind of comes in. And now let's go back down here for the rest of his arm. We're going to just come down a little bit from this line. I'm going to bring this in, and it curves up like that, and then back out for his fingers. Something like that. And if you want to, you can take that little line out right there. So it looks like his arms in front of his body. And I think Snoopy is looking pretty cool right now. And we're going to put our Christmas bulb in it. So I'm just going to rough out a little, what would be a circle if I drew it all the way around. But I don't have to because he's holding it. And then we'll put a little top on it like this. Okay, and then we're going to stop right there for the bulb. We'll come back in and clean this all up later. For his dog box, we are going to come around the curve of his head just before we get to the mouth. So if we're coming like this, I'm going to stop about right here, and I'm just going to put a straight line, a very rough straight line across like that. Okay. And then we're going to kind of imagine the top, which is going to be, oh, let's just come up here but a little bit past where his eye would be. And we're going to come up and make a little slanted line. It's slanted in that way. It's not quite straight up and down. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side, trying to make it look the same. That's pretty good. And then we'll make another straight lines across here. And that's going to be his lid for his dog box. Then for the bottom part, we're going to come out here to the outside edge. And we're going to come in and down a little bit. And then we're going to come straight across again. That's kind of going to give it a little dimension. Okay. And then we're going to come in just a little bit from this side, from the right side. And we're going to come straight down, about to Snoopy's feet. We'll just put a little line across here. There's going to be some snow and ground there. And then over here, we're going to do the same thing on this side. So kind of imagine this is where it starts to come up. So that's the end of it. So we're going to come in a little bit. We're going to come straight down. But anywhere there's any other drawings, you can skip over that. Like that. That's not perfect, but I'll clean that up. There we go. That's better. All right, now sitting on top of the box, you can put a little Christmas tree, but I like Woodstock. So I'm going to draw a little Woodstock up here real quick, and he's going to be very similar to Snoopy. So we're going to rough in a little circle up there. And that's just going to give me a start for his head. And at the bottom of the circle, we're just going to come down just like we did for Snoopy. And he's going to come out and around, but we're going to make him look like he's sitting on top of the box. So I'm going to come down a little bit from the top of the box so I can rough in his body. Look at this. Okay, and then I'm going to squish my eraser a little bit. I'm going to take it this line so you can see a little better. Okay. And then Woodstock's tail is just kind of almost like a triangle. So I'm going to come back like this and down. And then just kind of shape out a couple of his tail feathers like that. And then in our reference picture, it just looks like a bunch of little shapes because we just want to give the idea of his feet. So we're going to make a couple little rectangles. Charles Schulz, God bless him, he used to draw some really cool, sketchy looking, forms on his, drawings. And you want them to look like cartoons. You don't want them to be super perfect. That's the beauty of cartoons. Okay, just as we come out here, I'm going to stop that line and I'm going to come up here and draw kind of like a curved top because we're going to give Woodstock a little Santa cap like that. And then I'm going to come down off of this and shape out his beak. And if you haven't noticed, Woodstock and Snoopy have almost the same shape of their heads. And I guess that's why they're so cute and funny and look so cool together. And then I'll give Woodstock a little, I'm going to make his eye like he's kind of looking down. And then I'm going to give him a little smiley face like he's approving of what his buddy Snoopy is doing. looks pretty good. Boy, I'm feeling Christmassy already, aren't you guys? There we go. Here in Ohio, we got a bunch of snow the other day, and about 4 inches. And everybody's out sled riding and stuff. Okay, let's give Woodstock the rest of his hat. And I'm just going to come up here where his head is, and then I'm going to come over to here. Because you want to make it look kind of like it kind of fits his head, but it doesn't. And so we're going to just kind of shape this out into kind of a funky little crooked shapes. Something like that. Actually, this should be closer to his head because we want to make it look like it fits. And then we'll give him a little circle here for a Santa hat. Oh, that's pretty funny. All right, you know what? There isn't one on our reference picture, but if you want to, you can give one to Snoopy too. And I'm going to do that because I think that would look cool. So I'm going to do this rough in kind of that little rectangle, and I'm going to curve it a little bit so it fits Snoopy's head. And then let's give Snoopy a Santa hat as well. And you can kind of shape yours in however you want it. I think that looks pretty good. And then we're going to do the the string of lights on his dog box. So I'm going to come up to the top. I'm just going to make a curved line. It kind of swoops down like this. Goes back. And then this one, we're going to make it come down. And we're going to come right to Snoopy's hand, or right above it. So we want it to look like Snoopy is working on these lights, and he's got an ornament right there. Or maybe it's a light. I guess it is a light. I just made it the wrong shape. Well, I'll fix that. I'll just make it a light shape. There we go. Okay. And then we'll make the string of lights come down from here behind it, and we'll come down and off into the snow. And now we can draw the lights, and I'm just gonna kind of find where to start. So I'm looking at my reference, and I'm starting right here at the top corner. And they don't all have to be the same exact size or perfect, because that's not how Charles Schulz drew it. So I'm just going to come down, and every so far, I'm going to try to space these out fairly evenly. I'm just going to make like a little U at the bottom of the string, and so that way I know where to put my lights. And then, so I'm just going like this. And again, they don't have to be exactly spaced apart, because anytime you're using a reference, you can follow that reference, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It's your drawing. Make it how you want. Okay, I'll put one at the end. And to make the ornaments, I'm just kind of, thinking of how they're shaped. The old school bulbs, they kind of curve out and in and out and in. And we're just going to do that on every one of these little shapes that we made to hold them. And again, they don't have to be perfect, but we want them to look good. So you draw them to whatever you think looks good to you. Remember, it's your art. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to like it, because if you like it, other people will like it. And if they don't like it, too bad. They can draw their own, right? Right on. Okay. By the way, put down in the comments, who's your favorite Peanuts character? Mine, of course, is Snoopy. And I love Charlie Brown, too. And I even like Pigpen. I like it when the little dirt poofs out from when he walks around. He's a good guy. All right. One or two other little things we need to do here, and then we're going to go over this whole thing with ink. So the first thing is the lines that kind of go across the dog box, so you can tell that it's wood. So I'm just drawing a couple lines in here across. And again, they don't have to be perfect. And all the way down the dog box. I'll do 2 or 3 on here, because everybody knows Snoopy's dog box is made out of wood. And there you have it, guys. So now what we want to do is I'm going to take a black pen, and I always use these Micron pens by Pigma. These are awesome. They're archival ink, which means they'll last forever, and they don't smear. They resist water, so if you get something wet on it, after they dry, of course, it doesn't smear too much. And what we want to do is we want to trace over all of the lines we want to keep, because we have all these little guidelines and we don't want to keep them. So don't trace over them, but trace over everything else that you want to keep. Let it dry for a minute, and then take an eraser and erase any other pencil lines you have left. I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to watch me for 20 minutes tracing, and then I'll see you back for the next step. All right, here we go.
Up on the housetop, reindeer paws, out jumps good old Santa Claus, down through the chimney with lots of toys, all for the little ones' Christmas joys. Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Up on the housetop, click, 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 down through the chimney with good Saint Nick.
Okay, Art Stars, there is our Snoopy and Woodstock at Christmas, all inked up. You can see I cleaned it all up and erased all the pencil marks that were left. And now we're going to color. So I got a bunch of color pencils here that I'm going to do everything with. And I'm going to speed this part up too, just so you can see it. But color yours too, and then see what it looks like. And I'll meet you back here after we're done. Okay, let's go. Well, there you have it, Art Stars, our complete, drawn, colored masterpiece of Snoopy and Woodstock at Christmas. I hope you had a good time drawing with me today, and come back next time when we'll draw something new. Until then, if you're enjoying this, give a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video, which YouTube is telling you to go right here, I think. Or is it here? Anyway, see you later, guys. God bless.